Are you bored of the current standard metagame? Well, you're in luck, because today we're going to be taking a look back at one of my favorite expansions of all time, Savers of Old Doom and Journey to Un'Goro. Now some quests are pretty easy to make decks with. You know, you put the quest line in, you put in some Reborns, you put in some Death Rattles, you win the game. Now it's worth noting that all of these decks are viable at a Platinum to Diamond level. I've even gotten quite close to it in Legend with some of them. Now this list is running the more consistent version. It is worth noting that you can put the Blood of the Ancient one into this deck for the memes if you want to. It doesn't really make the deck that much worse, but of course, if you want more competitively viable, maybe meme cards isn't your way to go. Now the most important thing to think about in this deck is to really hard dig for 2-drops and 3-drops, because you already lose out on so much tempo from the quests, and you also lose out on a lot of quest progress if you don't have a 2 or 3-drop. I think this game shows off a lot of the strengths of the deck. The game did end up going down to the wire, but that's mostly because this mage got pretty lucky and I misplayed pretty hard, causing me to not get lethal. Especially in this game, I started out with 2 Stonehearth Vindicators, which is basically the best opening I can have in this deck. I was considering between playing the Stonehearth Vindicator or playing double Reborn, and I wasn't quite sure, but after he played a secret, I decided it was more important to play around the potential of a objection, so I decided to just play 2 Reborns. I don't think it's that much worse. Obviously you lose a bit of tempo, but I also get a lot of quest completion, so I think it's a good play. I basically just continued playing on curve. I decided to play another Stoneheart, mainly because I might have drawn a Hand of a Doll, which would allow me to draw another 2-drop, but I don't end up doing that, so I just end up getting more tempo. But it still works out because I can hero power, and hopefully I'll draw a 2-drop next turn. I do end up drawing a 2-drop, and I end up taking a moment to decide if I should play the 4 into 2 or just play the 6 mana. I decided generally because the win condition is going to be dropping the 6 mana. If I drop the 6 mana now, I'll be able to finish my quest off with the 4 mana next turn and copy a minion, which I think is more impactful, so I decided to play the 6 mana instead. Eventually. Yeah, there we go. Bit of a scary turn coming up. They almost pulled mine Assault out of my hand, which would have been pretty bad. I do end up getting very lucky though. They end up getting my 4 mana minion, which was probably the best case scenario for me, and I get a huge tempo lead because of it. And I also end up being able to get a free hero power in, right before I pop my quest, because it's just a free 1/1, so why wouldn't I? And at this point in the game, I'm feeling pretty confident since I'm able to complete my quest. I have minions on board and I'm just basically able to snowball from this point. I end up trading in my Stonehearth into the 2-4, basically because I didn't expect him to play Flame Ward, to be honest. I completely forgot that a secret exists, and I end up losing a bunch of potential damage to face because of it. But it's not too big of a deal, I still have a really good curve to fall back on. He ends up playing a Magister Dawn's Grasp, and it reveals that his final secret is an Ice Block, which, I mean, kind of expected, but it's still an issue, because let's be honest, in Wild, if you let your opponent cook for too long, they're gonna burst you from hand no matter what health points you're at, so a bit worrying, but still probably fine. Here you're gonna see me once again forgetting that Flame Ward exists. I'm really not used to playing against this secret. I've been playing too much Standard and Classic. What do you want from me? He plays an evocation, which I assumed at the time was good news, since he's probably desperately looking for answers to resolve my board, which of course he does do, because why would I ever get lucky? I mean, I just did, so I guess I shouldn't be complaining, but still. He does discover a fire sale, which I mean, good on him. I'm still feeling confident though, because I do have minus off going into next turn, and he's on a really low health total, so I decided I'm just gonna jam minus off down, why wouldn't I? I mean, realistically, if he's gonna survive this, he needs to top deck a really good answer. Which, I mean, surely he wouldn't do, right? Right? Okay. Unfortunately, he can't clear my board, which is good, because that would leave him dead. But it does have Blizzard, which is annoying. Now this mage top stacks another save, which, I mean, I should have expected at this point. He's just the luckiest person alive. But, I mean, I'm still in the board. He doesn't deal with my board, so I'm just going to continue going face. And let's see what he top decks next turn. Honestly, that's not that bad for me. I do know he has ice block, so I have to play around that. So I decided to just play my hand of a doll to get him down to 1 HP exactly. This is where I make my big misplay, however. I'm actually going to be trading in the wrong minions into his 4-6. I think I should have traded in my trio ones instead, because that would have led me with a stickier board, and I'm actually going to get punished for that in just a moment. Additionally, I didn't realize that one of my minions only had 2 attack, which means I don't even kill the 4-1, which turns out to be a big issue for me. And I'm actually going to miss lethal because of it. Now, as annoying as that was technically my fault, despite him literally top decking another perfect save. But I mean, I guess I should take responsibility for that one. And to counteract the misplay, I decided to just fill my board as wide as possible, just to make it as difficult for him to clear the board as possible. I do, in the process, accidentally give him an honorable kill, but I still think it's fine, and then he plays Reno, because why wouldn't he top deck Reno? I do still think it shows just the strength of the deck to some extent, because I'm getting pretty freaking unlucky here, despite the misplay, and I'm still in a really good position looking to close out the game using my Invincible, which is basically the strongest card in the deck, except for maybe Nassaf, just because when you're able to get this minion rolling with multiple copies of it, it's really difficult to deal with. I end up trading into his 8 mana minion, which I think was the wrong play. I should have either just gone face or, in retrospected, killed Reno, because the 8/8 really wasn't a big issue. I have so many taunts going, and he gets Potion of Polymorph, because of course he does, and he gets another copy of Reno, which is an issue for me. I was considering whether or not I should drop him another minion here, because obviously more stats on board are good, but it also is board space that I could be using to get even more Invincibles, which is basically the strongest way for me to win. So that's generally the win condition I'm looking for, especially at this point in the game where my opponent already has used so much removal. And I think that's a good play, and up setting a lot of tempo up, and it's really difficult to deal with unless he has Mass Polymorph, because of course he had that in his hand the entire time. That's great, I love that. And at this point, I'm figuring I'm running out of tempo. I'm probably not going to be able to win based on just outvaluing my opponent. I need to start hitting him in the face, so I just build an aggressive board and start hitting him in the face, basically. I do trade into 2/2 because I don't want him to get another copy of it. And also, then I decided to just trade into 1/1, just keep my 3/2 and my 4/2 safe. Which, I don't know if it was the best decision, to be honest. That face damage could have come in clutch at the end of the game, especially with how low his health total was. And I think I honestly should be a sentiment phase. Oh wait, no, remember, he did copy a Reno. This was not a great game for me, to be honest. I get a bit of good draw. It's basically some of my last value left in the deck. I do have one more Death Rattle that I can copy, but once I'm out of those, then my deck and hero power is basically as useless because it's just a bunch of shitty reborns and also technically Moarg, but really the only reason for Moarg existing is to not get burned by Burn Mage and to get resurrected by Nassaf, which none of those is what's happening right now, so it's not very impactful. Speak of the devil, last second, the hero shows up, and I'm able to copy just a really good Death Rattle minion, which is just my final bit of utility. This is basically my last stand at this point. If this doesn't win me the game, nothing's gonna win me the game. And in light of this, I decide to trade in my 2/2 Death Rattle just to get another taunt on the board because I want to protect my other Death Rattles so they don't get traded into or activated, because I need them to stay alive so I can start duplicating them a bit longer. Also, that's my Morg. He stole that. Unfair. Here I technically misplay, but I think it was only a misplay in retrospective because I probably should have played my Morg just for more tempo, or at least later on. But I'm just very afraid because I knew he had one mass polymorph, and if you run one mass polymorph, you're probably gonna run two. I basically end up in a position where I'm just hoping that I accidentally counter one of his good minions, which sort of it is actually kind of impactful because he doesn't get to shuffle his hand back into his deck, which means he's also going to draw Fatigue soon, but I would have definitely preferred to counter that 8/8. That would have been really sweet. Now at this point, I'm basically confident that, I mean, yes, I'm on the clock. I need to hit him in the face. I need him to die. I need to trade in because I can't afford to take damage. So I just trade my minions in. And I'm thinking, should I drop my Moarg? He could still have Mass Polymorph. And honestly, at this point, I definitely should have dropped it. I was too late. He doesn't even end up having a Mass Polymorph, and I just end up losing the game. I should have just dropped it. I was not worth. Finally, I end up dropping my Morg. It's, at this point though, it's kind of too little too late. I mean, I still have a good board, but he's gonna end up countering it, unfortunately, which is a big issue for me, and I just lose the game as a result. He does, because I already knew he had Fire Trail. And he gets to kill my 9/4, and now I have one minion left, and there's just nothing left I can do, really. I can hit him in the face, and that's literally it. He's gonna be able to kill my 7/4 with his hero power next turn, and then I'm just out of minions. But I do still think it shows that the deck can get some pretty good value. Generally, it does pretty well in an in-value matchup like these. This Mage had to get pretty lucky to even beat me, and I do still think the deck works well against aggro, so I would still recommend picking it up. The deck code is in the description down below if you want to see it. If you like the video, then I would appreciate you subscribing. You can literally click in the bottom left corner of the video. It takes no time at all. Just click the button. I would really appreciate it. And like and subscribe. Leave a comment if you want. And I'll see you in the next video.